Good morning. I want to talk to you today about St. Francis of Assisi. Not Pope Francis, who's somebody completely different, but Francis of Assisi in Italy. And he lived in the Middle Ages. You know, that time when they had castles and dungeons, and girls had to live in tall towers and drop their gloves for their potential boyfriends to pick up. It was all a bit like that. And Francis's dad, he was called Bartolomeo, he was a merchant in silk, so very expensive cloth, and he made a tremendous amount of money. He learned how to be a silk merchant in France, and he loved everything French. And he called his son Francesco, Francis, because that suggested France. And one day he said to young Francis, he patted him on the head like that, and he said, "My boy, my little sausage," he said, "I am a big cheese in this town." He said that because the French are very cheese-minded. He said, "And one day you will be a big cheese too." And he gave him lots of presents. And young Francis became a very rich, dashing young man. And when he was grown up, he became a soldier. Oh, you should have seen him. He went off to the wars, and he was dressed so finely. The inside of his coat was all lined in turquoise and red. But he got caught. He was a prisoner, and he was put in a dungeon. It was awful. And he eventually escaped, and he came home to Assisi, but things were not the same. And his father made him a member of his company. And one day Francis was selling his expensive silk when a very poor man came up and said, please give me a little money. I have nothing at all." And Francis gave him all his money, everything that he had on him, a lot of which belonged to his father. And when he told his father, he was not at all pleased. He said, "Son, religion is for Sundays. If you start doing it other days of the week, it'll ruin your business." So they got back together for a while, but things didn't go well. And Francis kept giving away the money, and his father was furious. And they had a big row. And eventually Francis gave up all his beautiful clothes, which he used to be so proud of, and he went and lived in the woods. And when he was there, he found a wolf. And this wolf had been terrorizing a nearby town. It went into the town and it killed the animals and even the people. And Francis, who was very gentle, he sat down with the wolf and said, "What's your problem in life?" And the wolf said, "Food." So Francis said, "Well, I understand you. Let's go together into the town and see if we can organise things for everybody's benefit." So he went into the town. The people were terrified. But there was Francis just walking along with the wolf. And he got all the people together. He said, "No need to be afraid." He said, "What this wolf wants is food. So you've got food. You give the wolf some food, like this." And the wolf will be quite happy. And his side of the bargain is that he won't hurt you anymore. So the people had to think, and the wolf had to think, and he tried a bit of their food, and they all said, it's a deal. So the wolf went off back to the woods, and the people went about their lives in the town, and everyone was happy. And this became the mark of Francis's ministry. He became a very important person. They went off to see during the Crusades, they sent him to see the leader of the people fighting against the Christians as an ambassador. That's how important he was. But he was not at all grand. He didn't wear smart clothes anymore, no more turquoise linings, nothing like that. He just wore simple clothes, and he lived very, very modestly. And our present Pope, Pope Francis, has taken the name Francesco, or Francis in English, as a mark of respect for the way Saint Francis of Assisi lived. And he tries to, as Pope, to live and work in relation to other people in the same way. So Francis has a big lesson for us, doesn't he? Because he can show us how to live even in relation to very difficult people, to enemies and wolves, dangerous wild animals, and bring peace wherever he goes.